Hello and welcome to the Merlin Lock Podcast. I'm Oggy.
And I'm Dim Slugz.
Set sail and low expectations for everything nerd, accompanied by a healthy, obvious shape for helping pointless banter, lack of focus, and questionably acquired knowledge.
And dare I say more?
And more. We finally finished the quest line in Undermine.
Yes, finally.
Hold your applause.
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to hold anything, honestly.
We're getting back into World of Warcraft here. And we're going to talk a little bit about Undermine. I realize at this point it's not the newest update in World of Warcraft, but, it's one that we've been working on for quite some time, trying to complete it so that we can get a good idea, do a review, talk about what happened and how it came to be and our experiences with it. When it comes to Undermine, it all starts with the Dark Heart. I know we touched on it before, but let's touch on it again for those that aren't in the know.
How dare you talk about my sweet grandmother.
No. So, a millennia ago, Deathwing, the Black Dragon aspect, he wanted to make something called a Dragon Soul because he was following the voices of the old gods. But first, he needed a prototype, right? So, he recruited a bunch of goblins, and the goblins crafted this prototype being the Dark Heart. After its use, it was hidden beneath the earth. But then, during our time in the Dragon Isles, it was reclaimed by Iridikron. And Iridikron had imbued it with the hunger of Galakrond. Now, if you don't know who Galakrond is, he's the progenitor of the proto-dragons. The waters he was drinking from was tainted by Yogg-Saron, which gave him this insatiable hunger for the life energies of his fellow proto-dragons. And through that cannibalistic activity, it caused a whole bunch of mutations, and he just became an abomination.
Ooh, cannibal dragons, whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but, we're not getting into that today. Then the Dark Heart was given to Xal'atath. Now, what the Dark Heart does is it absorbs magics, converts it to shadow. Xal'atath has used it to destroy Dalaran, seemingly kill Khadgar, and absorb a whole bunch of black blood. Right now, she was on top of the world, yeah? She had all the power she could ever hope for. Until Illyria Windrunner shot an arrow into it and shattered it. Naturally, Xal'atath became a little pissy. She was like, hey, this ain't over, and she ran off, right? Took the Dark Heart with her. Now, she said this isn't over, but she obviously needs to fix the Dark Heart now, since it's been shattered. So, who better to fix the Dark Heart than the Gabos?
That's us.
Who's the scummiest Gabo that you know of?
Gallywix.
Gallywix, that bastard.
He took my place as trade prince.
That son of a bitch.
No good fat shit eating, sandwich stealing, no good rotten goblin.
All right, so we hadn't seen Gallywix in quite some time. We know he abandoned the Bilgewater cartel around the same time that Sylvanas abandoned the Horde. And we know during our little questy with finding some heritage armor that he was stealing the inventions of Hobart Grapplehammer. We had this big mech suit, we had a big fight, and we destroyed his mech suit, and he was trapped inside, and we just left him there because, we thought maybe he would starve to death in there. But somehow he escaped, and he clawed himself back into the head of the table in Undermine. How he did so, I don't know. He's a little conniving bastard, that guy. Somehow he made it back. There was a time in Tazavesh that he was hanging out. He was just sitting there talking to the Afterlife cartels, but he didn't say anything. He was just sitting there, and I don't know if this was ever addressed. I don't know, maybe in future. I don't know. Anyway, he's back at the head of the table in Undermine. What hit all this off, there was this trade coalition meeting, right, with Laszlo Overbite, which was pretty much the stand-in for the Bilgewater cartel in Undermine, since Monty Gazlo didn't want to have anything to do with Undermine anymore, but he needed a representative in Undermine for Bilgewater. Then we have Marin Nargenfager, who heads up the Steam Whittle cartel. We got Baron Revelgaz, heads up Blackwater cartel, and Nikki the Fixer, who heads up the Venture Company. And then we have Gallywix barge through the door, asking what's going on. He's all looking intimidated. He has one of his goons with him with this giant gun, right? Everybody's already pretty intimidated, but Laszlo stands up to him and starts demanding reform. He says, we had enough with your leadership. We don't want to be under your thumb no more. Then Gallywix looks around. He's like, oh, really? I'm guessing all yous feel the same way. And he looks around, Baron Ravelgaz, he's intimidated. He's like, oh, no, not me. You're the boss, right? And he looks over at Nikki. She just giggles. She's insane.
She's lost it. She's bonkers.
Yeah, she's bonkers. But he looks over at Noggenfogger, and Noggenfogger doesn't get Laszlo's back either, which is pretty surprising. We don't know what that's about. So Gallywix says, all right, looks like it's just you, Laszlo. And he looks to his goon. He's like, why don't you show our guest out? His goon charges up his little pistol shooter, and he vaporizes Laszlo right there on the spot, scaring everybody off. Everybody leaves the room. At this point, Xalatath visits Gallywix and starts saying that, I see you're making use of the black blood, because he got the fancy new weapon there. And trying to tell him to hurry up on fixing her little toy, the Dark Heart. Now, why did Marin Noggenfogger not get Laszlo's back? All right, let's get into that. He was essentially, not essentially, he was forced into helping Gallywix. And we had found this out later on, that Gallywix actually kidnapped his wife Sprinkle from Gadget Stand. So he had no choice. So he toiled over this black blood in an attempt to stabilize it, to no avail, seemingly, until he spilled a can of Caja-Cola into the black blood. And it completely stabilized his sample. And I know we talked about Kajamite a little bit before. We touched on it. It's a naturally occurring mineral in Azeroth. Keeper Mimiron had used it in his experiments on different creatures and found that it gave goblins a heightened intelligence. We don't really need to get into Mimiron, right?
No.
No point in that. Okay. Yeah, we don't need that.
Maybe some other time.
Maybe some other time. Now, Gallywix, he now has both a fix for the Dark Heart and the ability to make stable weaponry. Then, boom. Pamsy of the Venture Company blows open the wall, creates a direct path from the Ring and Deeps to Undermine, because she's concerned for the well-being of her crew, because they've been harvesting black blood, and we know that black blood causes insanity, and oftentimes can perhaps transfer you into another realm of existence. It's some crazy shit. Now, we know all too well the effects of black blood because of the Horanir Owena, who has been communing with Azeroth or her goddess, which I think is one and the same. I don't know. And she's trying to put a stop to its abuse. So we go to investigate what this explosion was, and we're met with some pretty key characters to this story. Monty Gazlo, the trade prince for the Bilgewater Cartel. We meet Renzik, the Shiv, the SI-7 operative. Owena's there. Pamsy's, of course, there. And we got this guy named Zordo. So this Zordo guy, he starts giving us a tour of the black blood harvesting devices and start taking us to the transport unit to get to Slam Central Station. But then before we get there, Pamsy pulls us all together, this newly formed crew, and reveals to us the reason why she blew open the wall. Now, Zerdo, knowing there's a big reward for turning in any info on who done it with Gallywix, he smoke screens us and he runs off. We lost the guy. We know Pamsy's in trouble, perhaps her crew. So we're like, okay, well, we got to go check up on the crew at least. So we head up to the riding fields to check on the crew. Unfortunately,
Dead.
they're all dead. Darkfuse goons already took them out. So to get back at Gallywix, we're like, okay, well, we can't completely dismantle the operation, but we can at least slow it down a bit, right? So we decide to freeze the pipes to their little station there and destroy the machinery temporarily. And we head up to Renzik and Gazlo. Renzik's like, hey, we got to take the fight to Undermine. We need to stop all this. Gazlo, of course, is opposed to it. He's like, hey, man, I ain't ever going back to Undermine. I escaped there once, never heading back again. I know I want a better life for all goblos, but if they want a better life, they need to leave Undermine. Renzik brings up the point. He's like, hey, Undermine is their home. They don't want to leave it to have a better life. They just want to make Undermine better. So eventually Gazlo's like, sure, you know what? I'll go, but I ain't got to start a war. Renzik, of course, he's like, yeah, that's my job. Now we get to Undermine proper. We meet up with this chick called Grimla, and she works for the Venture Company too, just like Pamsy, and she's a little bit more on the straight and narrow as far as morals go. So we start venturing around, we checking out the different points of interest, and then they take us to the Venture Company HQ, where we find Nikki. And Pamsy and Grimla are there. They're like, hey, Nikki, why are all these dark fuse here? Because there's dark fuse everywhere. And she's all like, well, to keep you nobodies in line. Pansy and Grimlow are like, you can't treat your crew like this. What are you doing? Dickie's all, screw you. I got a seat at the big table. I'm going places. And she sets the whole place on fire. A crazy bitch. So we got to clean up that mess. And then we're met by Owena. She comes dropping in. She's been sniffing around the place. And she's like, hey, I found this warehouse. It smells like black blood. We should check it out. We're like, okay, why not? We'll go check that out. And when we get there, we find these anti-ethereal devices. So at this point, we're like, what? We got ethereals to worry about? We'll call up Illyria, right? Because she's all obsessed with the ethereals, and maybe she can help us solve this. Looting around the place, we find some Blackwater shipments. So we're like, Blackwater. We got to go hit up Revelgaz, right? And see what he has to do with all this. So when we get there, go talk to Revelgaz. He gives us the excuse to be like, hey, man, I'm a pirate. This is what pirates do. We're like, why'd you turn your back on Laszlo? He's like, loose lips, sink ships, all that kind of stuff. I ain't speaking out against. I ain't taking anybody's side.
But if you were to take care of some people for me, it'd be great.
Yeah. And then he asks us for our help, and we're like, geez, all right. So we start going through, it's all Dark Fuse occupied at this point, so we're trying to take down some propaganda and whatnot that they have laying about. Then we find out from Revelgaz that they make their drops of black blood in random places. And he's like, the next drop is in the heaps. So we head to the heaps. And who do we see overseeing this operation? None other than Zerdo. We're like, hey, Pansy, what do you want us to do about this guy? And she's like, oh, this little dick. I want you to go in there. I want you to rip his dick off, and I want you to make him choke on it. So we're like, okay, Pansy, we'll do that for you. So we go in there, we destroy his little mech suit, we tear him out of it, we rip his dick off, we make him choke on it. He's dead. He's nobody's problem no more.
I didn't know you could choke on a Tic Tac. The things you learn along the way.
The things you learn. Now, we find Zerdo's journal, and there's a lot of delivery receipts signed by Noggenfogger. So we head up Monte Gazlo again. He says, all right, Nikki, she's a lost cause. Revelgaz, he's all right for the most part. He's a pirate. We got to give him this pass, okay? But then Noggenfogger, yeah? Maybe he was like a sleaze this entire time. We just had no idea. At this point, we didn't know that his wife was kidnapped. We got to go see what's up with him. We head over to Slam Central Station, first of all, to pick up Illyria, and then we go to see Noggenfogger. And as soon as we get there, Noggenfogger's like, hey, good to see you. Why are you here? Gaslo faces him and says, yeah, you know why. And Noggenfogger's like, I can't talk right now. Don't know, you're visiting me on my birthday, Here me and Slugz are. I look over at you. I'm like, oh, man. I'm sorry, dog. I didn't realize it was your birthday. We didn't even bring gifts.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. But then Gazlo apparently read between the lines, and they were speaking in code or something, I don't know. And he's like, maybe your Dark Fuse friends would like some drinks. Noggenfogger points over to some shelves. He's like, I got some elixirs over there that you can hand out. So we all go grab some Noggenfogger elixirs. And we know about his elixirs, right? It's always something random, sometimes undesirable. We're like, okay, why not? So we grab them, start handing them out to Dark Fuse. I don't know what you experienced, but a lot of my guys that I handed them out to, they start flying away up in the air. We go back to Noggenfogger. We ask him what's going on exactly. He tells us to go to the Kazumite mine, and we'll find answers there. And Illyria says, yeah, you guys go do that. I'll stay behind here. I'll look after Noggenfogger. We're like, okay. So we head to the Kaja coast, where we make this little spy contraption buoyed thing. And we start learning about the whole mining operation. We learn about these weapons that are being manufactured. And this is when we actually find out that the Dark Heart is in play. So at this point, we're like, oh, this isn't just about Undermined anymore. This is about the entire world at this point. So we head back to the Steam Weedle HQ, and we find that it's under siege by the Ethereals. And they're trying to get to Noggenfogger, apparently. Illyria's like, these have got to be Zalatath's goons, right? Coming to attack us, trying to gather information of some kind. The whole time we're trying to fight off this ethereal threat, we got this guy, Phase Thief Azia, speaking in our ear, thanking us for doing so much of the legwork in finding the Dark Heart. We're like, who the hell is this guy anyway? But anyway, we head back to Noggenfogger, and we ask why they attacked. And he reveals to us his wife is kidnapped. He knew the location of this secret warehouse and all these hostages that have been taken. And he knows the location of the Dark Eye. He tells us about all of it. And then this Azir guy pops in, portals into the place. And he's like, oh, tee-hee. Now I got the information I need. I'm out of here. He starts the portal off and Illyria tries to shoot at him, but she misses. At this point, I'm questioning whether or not Illyria can actually use her bow because of how often she misses. And, when she destroyed the Dark Heart in the first place, I'm like actually wondering to myself, like, I wonder if she was just trying to shoot Zaltath in the face, but then she missed and she hit the Dark Heart and she's like, oh, I did that on purpose. I'm questioning her abilities at this point. Anyway,
I'll give her a chance.
We'll give her a pass on this one, I guess. So now we got to head to the warehouse. Illyria, she tells us that she's going to chase Azir, make sure that he doesn't get to the Dark Heart first. So us, Renzik, Gazlo, we all go to the warehouse and we save a bunch of hostages, first of all, which we save Sprinkles, Grapplehammer, and then we save some pirate Torn guy. Don't know what his name is. We go to face Gallywix, right? Of course, Gallywix is in his little hidey hole, hiding behind a force field so we can't get to him. And he's talking shit the whole time. And then this Azir guy portals in behind the force field. He grabs up Gallywix. He takes the Dark Heart. And Gallywix is all like, oh, repairs are all finished. I was just about to bring it to Zalatath. This Azir guy doesn't even say anything. And he just portals back out.
Pretty sure he wet himself.
What, Gallywix or Azir?
Gallywix.
Oh, Gallywix, right. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, he portals out with the Dark Heart. Gallywix, he gives us one more threat, and he says he's gonna bury Gazlo, and then he escapes. So at this point, Gazlo is done. He says nothing more can be done for Undermine. We're going topside. I've had it with this place. And Renzik, having the bleeding heart he does for Undermine, he continues to try and convince Gazlo to reconsider. Then we see a laser on Gazlo's head and hear the distant giggles of Nikki. She takes the shot. Renzik leaps into the bullet's path and slumps down to the ground as Nikki makes her escape. Gazlo crawls to his fallen comrade and takes him in his arms. Of course, having no medical experience himself, he desperately tries to push his insides back in from his outsides. And then the light in Renzik's eyes fell dim and his body turned to ash. Have a moment of silence for Renzik.
Anyways, after Renzik's death.
Anyways.
So sad, and Gazlo was crying like Spider-Man to his uncle. So Gallywix calls for Monty Gazlo's head, and he's offering everybody and anybody triple hazard pay. And I mean, almost sold me on it, honestly.
Yeah, I was considering it at that point.
Especially since he was just a hot blubbering mess. I could have done it just right then and there. But I do have a heart. I'm a better trade prince than Gallywix.
Oh, yeah, okay. Get on with the story.
Monty says he's finally fed up. He's tired of how things run around here in Undermine. Tired of waiting for Undermine to change its ways. Like the place has changed. Come on, it's the people. You gotta do your thing. And it's finally time to take a lead of some sort of rebellion. So we got Noggin Faga, Rebel Gas, Grimla Fizzle Crank, and that Pirate Torn guy, and a bunch of Bilgewater members. We're out doing our thing, and Nikki shows up claiming that the Black Blood is all that they need to stop us. And we figured, you know what? That's a good point. So we're gonna get rid of that Black Blood problem first. And we find out they're getting Black Blood transported into the bay that we just saved a bunch of their asses at. So we go to the port, and we cut off their shipments. You know, put a hurting on their operations. And then we end up heading to Ventrico, where Nikki's from. That being her cartel, we've figured out that they're helping put on the works. They got a whole little Black Blood thing going on, and Orwena's there, a bunch of others, and we stopped their machines. So, Gallywix, he sees all this pressure, right? He's shivering, he's shaking, so he's calling his units. He's like, oh, come to me. I need help. Can't you see I need protected?
Ah, what a pussy.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He can't do anything on his own. So Gazlo, he shows up with more friends. We lead a 1,000,000 goblin march down the streets to the front yard of the Galagio Casino. We throw ropes up around Gallywix's gold statue because he thinks so highly of himself. and we pull that sucker down. Everybody's celebrating. We're happy. We just destroyed his beloved statue. Anyway, Nikki shows back up. Gazlo has a little thingamabob and destroys her shield. So we finally get to put the fix to Nikki.
Yeah.
You get it? Eh?
Nikki the Fixer gets fixed.
That's right. While Gallywix is shaking in his boots, Zalatas shows up. I kind of see it from the distance. It was crazy.
Yeah. No, I saw it too.
So she tells Gallywix it appears his time has run out. I'm thinking maybe she's going to give him the off. No, she just came to try to get the Dark Heart from him, and what a buffoon. He gave it to the Ethereal. He didn't know that the Ethereal wasn't working for her. He's like, I thought he was with you, I swear. And she goes, okay, I hope you die, chump. Peace out. And she leaves. She skedaddles, goes through the portal, and he's like, you know what? Screw yous. Screw all of yous. I'm gonna off every single one of you. So, me and Oggy here, we gathered up a bunch of chumps, other heroes, to take down Gallywix. So first we take out all of his muscle outside the Galagio, and then we put a bunch of bombs and blew open the doors to the Galagio. We took down the one-armed bandit, also known as the slot machine. We took down his bodyguard, his DJ, and he had nothing. So we went straight to Gallywix. And he's got this mech suit, this chrome mech suit with some black blood in it. We put the works on it and eventually destroy it. And he comes popping out the top of it, and he's freaking out, throwing a hissy fit. He's kicking it. It was kind of amusing. But he starts spouting off things saying, it's never over until I say so. I always win. And then blam, his machine falls on him.
That was hilarious.
What a dummy.
What an idiot.
So now I sit here in the Trade Prince's chair, along with the other cartels, and discuss how to rebuild Undermine. That's how this story ends. Me in my Trade Prince's chair.
Yeah. Okay, well, no, that's not how the story ends. We had dreams, maybe since Laszlo was gone, that perhaps you would be the point man in Undermined to take over for the Bilgewater Cartel, be its representative, and then maybe I would finally make my paycheck from you. But no, we didn't get none of that. I didn't get my paycheck. You didn't get to be the stand-in for Trade Prince. We got nothing. Bupkiss is all we got.
Relax there, Oggy. It's coming. The money's there.
I ain't never getting paid. No, you've been hanging this over my head for too long. I ain't never getting paid. We both have to face that now.
Not with that attitude, you ain't.
I'm never coming back. No, I'm done with this. I'm done with you. I'm starting my own business in Undermine.
You ain't gonna make it anywhere without me.
I'm gonna be a goblin of integrity and initiative.
You can't even spell integrity.
Yeah, whatever. It's integrity. Screw you. I'm out. If you enjoy the Merle and Locke podcast, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/merleandlocke or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.